Clarify.
So yeah, none of that has been recorded.
Okay, shall we? Are we ready?
I feel like we got all that out of our system now.
Yeah, I've been dying to talk about it for ages.
Everyone will be interested to know what we were talking about right now.
What's your preamble? Nothing.
We've run out of preamble.
Brexit. We've lived through so many, in the last few years, so many once-in-a-lifetime things. Brexit, a pandemic.
What's the pandemic
war.
again?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone, right?
No,
Yeah.
we can't have two big global events at the same time. So we've now decided to not have that one, and now we have
What's
another one.
happening about Boris and his parties? Because everyone's forgetting about that. I haven't
Look,
forgotten.
guys, we promised we wouldn't get political on this
what's
pod.
going on, Boris? You did this. Boris, did you do this on purpose? I know you're listening. Can I put this down?
He is a fan of the show. He's a fan of the show. Get him on.
We got over 3,000 downloads now.
Yeah, we have. That's true.
Well, probably nearing 3.5 now.
Let me check.
Who knows, if we can put some hashtags on this one, we might push our
I got a sign. Wait, are we recording it?
Yeah, we are on. Yeah.
Okay, then I won't say it.
hashtag.
Why is it? Is it controversial?
No, I can't expose contractual details.
Oh, what, you've been chatting about potential sponsorship stuff? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's exciting.
Are you sponsoring this show?
No,
Obviously.
not one day.
Just yourself.
Although
just your fucking self.
Although the contract did state TFNL podcast on it, so I'm like, okay, I don't think it's a YouTube channel, but sure.
I mean, that's what this is, right?
Well, should I just put it on the show? No, I can't. Yeah, someone's tickling. I told you about the sponsorship in the WhatsApp chat the other day.
Yes, I'm aware of it. Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you the updates.
I still don't understand how it's relevant to your core.
They've got boyfriends, husbands, things like that.
Yeah, okay.
But I said fine. I kind of made the agreement with myself that I've got a criteria for sponsorship.
Gillette, the best Harry can get.
Probably. I always said I never, as you know, I get bare sponsorship emails. 99% of them are crap. I'm there like, yeah, I don't like you, go away. So I said I'd never push anything that could be potentially harmful. Never push anything I don't believe in or I wouldn't buy myself.
What, booty tea?
Booty tea. If I do push something, it's either something that I would buy. Or
Those weight loss teas,
I hate them.
No, but they're essential. Their core ingredient is designed to make you shit yourself. It's
I don't need
diuretic.
I don't need an ingredient for that. I do that. Do that
pre-workout.
Mate, don't even need that. Give me oxygen. I'm out.
Put a coffee in me before any food, and you get the same outcome. Oh well, I do.
But yeah, if I am going to push anything that's I would consider buying it myself, or I think it would be beneficial to people, or it has to be completely harmless and irrelevant. Like if Raid Shadow Legends came to me and said, Harry, I'll give you X amount of money.
Wait, sorry, what is this?
Like if on YouTube, if someone came to me like Raid Shadow Legends or something completely irrelevant.
What's that?
You know, the mobile video game that's on every YouTube channel.
No.
Oh, well, it's just like a mobile video game because it's so harmless and irrelevant.
Are we going to say hashtag ad now because he's talking about it?
No, because we're not going to pay for this.
Okay.
Yet.
Shadow Realm or whatever you're called. Are you listening?
Basically, I see all those dickheads on YouTube who just get every sponsorship. I'm like, you're pushing bullshit and it pisses me off. That's not me.
You know what?
I'm not breaking trust.
It's the podcast that they're really good podcasts, but sometimes the first 4 or 5 minutes is an ad read that's very long. I'm just like...
Some of them, you get... I'm going to be honest with you right now. Do you know how much money you get for a lot of... for money.
Well, I know people in TikTok mansions that basically they get paid. They did like some collab with Boohoo or something. And I think
Boohoo
but they paid them like 600 grand.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Money.
Paper.
It's money.
Mad stacks, as the kids say.
That's on it. Like
I
can
understand.
Mad stacks. I don't back it. I understand why people sell out because there's a lot of money in it, but I don't back it. I said the whole thing of like TFNO is like the point is. I trust my audience and they trust me. I'm never going to push bullshit. That's going to harm anyone.
I see it a lot. It's usually like, oh, check out Jamie's Digital World has really helped me in the drop shipping industry.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. Shut up. If Herbalife come up to me and say, Harry, I'll give you $5,000 for a 60-second feature, I'm going to email them back a picture of my face with my middle finger and I'll say, shut up, Herbalife. Oh, I'll say, I said, quality and criteria.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I'm quality over quantity. Because I get some... You get some like money offers. People email me saying, look, Harry, digital marketing thing, we'll give you X amount for a 60-second integration. And it's like solid money. And I'm so like, that's clapped. No.
Clapped.
Obviously, I reply politely saying, look, really appreciate the offer. I don't think it aligns with my vision. And I don't think it would be beneficial for my audience. I'm not risking their trust. All the best. And then they'll follow me up 3 times saying, hi, Harry, just wonder if you want to reconsider your thoughts. I'm like, no. Go away.
Anyway.
Sorry, I've rambled. Anyway, so basically I've got a piece of paper in front of me and I'm going to start writing things down.
Oh, wow. Is this your new intention to be useful?
Yeah, so basically I'm trying to, again, habit of writing things down that I want to say.
That's
and waiting until the conversation before. So we join.
Essentially, that's what I do. I make notes on the show beforehand. Like, for example, I was going to ask you two, given that you're both gamers, aren't you? You're gamers.
Well, yeah, loosely.
Do you think that there is a future whereby when we have a war scenario where you'll just be you'll be in a VR world and they'll just send robot versions of you into war?
So what I wrote to respond to that was, "Oh, you're hard." But yeah, I think that probably will happen in X amount of years.
Or will it be AI robots?
I don't know. You watch a lot of TV, don't you?
No, not really. But I mean, you see a lot of crazy stuff in science fiction that ends up feasible.
Terminator.
Well, yeah.
Ooh, good movies.
It is a good movie. Yeah, Terminator 1 and 2, yeah.
I was listening to something the other day about AI. And they were saying about how bringing AI into coaching. And someone made a good point. It's just, we're just not quite there yet with AI. So in terms of a warfare kind of scenario with AI, although actually like fighting wars through robots and machines and stuff, I think that's very viable.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. Then you not as many people,
drones.
Not that many people would die, and people are a resource that's quite difficult to replace, isn't it? So,
well, think about how popular drones have become in like warfare, where people just sit on a controller elsewhere. That's the start. Yeah. What's next?
And you've got all these Call of Duty generation. They're great. You put them in front of
exactly.
One right here.
You're gonna have 12-year-old kids winning wars for people.
Charles, you give me a Car 98K, I will slap so many people in war. Honestly, you've seen a man quick scope like me, incredible scenes.
360 no scope.
Charles,
have you seen the film Ready Player One?
Oh, great!
Surprisingly, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be crap.
It's a good film.
Yeah, it's all right. I was surprised. I cried.
You cried, but then you probably cry at many things.
I cry. I don't cry. Like a family member. This is going to sound really dark. A family member could die, and I probably wouldn't cry. Someone in the movie dies, or an animal in the movie dies. I'm crying for weeks.
Yeah,
I weep in movies, but never, like rarely real life.
I've been caught out before on planes by crying because, like, especially if it's on the way back from a holiday when you're a bit tired and emotional, and it's a long flight, and you watch a few films. I ended up watching. I think it was a Bill Murray film. I think it's called Saint Vincent. Most people probably haven't seen it, but it's one of those kind of classic films where grumpy old man ends up having to look after kid next door, and he's like, at first he like hates it and all that sort of stuff, and eventually he's won over by it. Warms to it, and then there's a really touching scene at the end.
He's already getting emotional. Look.
But the thing is,
let him finish. He's getting there,
and
he's gonna cry.
And it's a really touching scene at the end, and obviously I'm reduced to tears on the flight, and literally as this is happening, the stewardess comes over to ask me what I want to eat.
A cuddle.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll have the chicken, please. Thank you. And it's like, for fuck's sake.
He's just described our relationship. An old grumpy man looking after kids. Eventually, he hugged me as I came in. This is how it begins.
It is.
I have softened. I've softened to your ways.
He has. He used to hate me.
The Ice King is melting.
He called me attractive the other day as well. He's been very kind this week, and I'm a fan. It's making me a bit uneasy.
I like it.
What would you prefer me to be?
Are you trying to tickle my bumhole?
You did that to me on episode 1 or 2. I
did, and I haven't washed my finger since.
Yeah,
that is frightening.
I'm a tender man. Very,
tenderloins.
I bring a lot to.
I'm quite hungry.
Me too.
Did anyone have pancakes? I'm moving on.
I'm going to say something controversial. I am yet to have my pancakes.
Yeah, I haven't had any pancakes either.
Oh, really?
No, I haven't had any.
So we are now 2 of 3. I'm assuming you've had yours.
Well, I make a particular recipe of my own.
I bet it's some bodybuilder bullshit.
It's going to be the most optimum protein.
I bet it's like it's got 12 grams of protein per pancake. If that doesn't give me diabetes, I don't want it.
So, first of all, it's on my Instagram.
Of course it is.
Christy Fellows. It's a bit further down, actually. You have to scroll. I'd put it on my stories. But
so active.
It's essentially, I love American-style pancakes. The
best.
The big, thick ones.
The fluffy.
Not
a crepe man, then.
No. They're a bit dead. I'm 100% on your side right now.
So I've basically made a version of that, which is essentially the same amount of carbs.
Here we go.
But it's loaded with proteins.
Yeah, I'm out.
No. Listen, wait.
He's left the room.
Wait. It's using 0 Greek yogurt.
Oh.
And essentially it just makes them, essentially you still get the height and the thickness and the softness, but it makes them basically higher protein. As simple as that.
So I've considered your input there. I've thought about it thoroughly. I've actually written some notes here. I wrote no, but we'll get to that later. And then with the consideration that it's higher in protein, therefore probably better aligns to my goals, and therefore arguably optimal. For that reason, I'm out.
Honestly, they're great pancakes.
Oh, yeah, but you're the kind of guy who says protein bars taste good. I'm sorry. The amount of people, if anyone is listening to this and you feel like, I think protein bars taste really good, say that to my face, see what happens. And it was like, it's like a chocolate bar. Shut up, no, it's not. Like, that's you. You're that guy.
It's a compromise.
I don't want to compromise. I want early death. Do you know what I mean? I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
You might not say this when eventually you have to actually diet for once and get lean, and you have to kind of substitute things that you would normally have when you've got a craving.
No, I'll just cry. You're
just not in touch with reality, Harry, and that's what concerns me.
I'm in touch with excessive food consumption and hating life when doing it, because I don't have a very big appetite like you. He's a big eater.
Oh, well, no, only when...
Foodie.
Yeah, he's probably... I'm a foodie, but he can do quantity. I get very bored very quickly.
Yeah, but is it on your Instagram bio?
What? The amount?
Foodie?
No.
Oh, then it's
although
not
they used
foodie
to do food blogging, didn't you?
Yeah, I work in that industry. Yeah, I generate content for food restaurants and chains and stuff.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, I've got an OnlyFans account where I just sit naked, smothering myself in like melted Mars bars, and yeah.
URL will be in the show notes.
I'm just thinking, boys. Side hustle, hear me out.
Go on.
Yeah. OnlyFans.
Okay.
Us three. But we make it twist, okay? Imagine this.
Twister?
Yeah, up the bumhole. There you go. That's what a food OnlyFans.
Food OnlyFans.
We can feed each other in seductive ways.
Do we have to be, can we be clothed?
No.
Okay.
Wait, we can wear, like, we can, like, boxers. No willies out.
I know.
I don't want to disappoint too many people.
Yeah, I know a few people who made the transition over to the old OnlyFans.
I respect it, honestly.
Look, at the end of the day, it's
you do you, mate.
You do you, but like, yeah.
I heard an interesting discussion on that about how obviously it's not necessarily the profession itself; it's the repercussions later down the line.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this about like bullying in schools, about like how before it would just be like, your mum's fit, blah blah blah, and now shut up, and now it's like, here's a video of your mum, excuse the language, getting railed on the internet.
Getting railed.
Imagine that.
And
with a carrot.
But then you being sat in science in the year 9 and being like, is that your mum? And then you've been like, but as before you could just like, it's all just like words, isn't it? My
dad said he saw your mum pegging some other dad.
We've all been there. Anyway,
Harry's
wait a minute.
Harry's prime pegging.
You went quiet then.
No, I don't like things
anywhere near.
You're
on Ghost White.
Especially after the pre-workout instance, I don't like things anywhere near my bumhole. Just want to clarify, guys.
It's definitely a flight risk.
Look, we don't kink shame here.
No,
I'm
kink shaming.
I'm fully open
not
for anything.
at all.
I don't like things in my bumhole. That's all I'm saying.
We're all entitled to a preference, essentially.
Yeah, my bumhole's a bit of a no-fly zone. I'm just a bit fragile. But yeah, OnlyFans I fully back. If you want to get an OnlyFans,
go for it.
At the end of the day, I respect it. I respect
you're making money.
Yeah,
and as long as it's not affecting you mentally, that's fine.
Well, exactly. If it makes you happy and you want to do it for you rather than for other people, then I fully support it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you do you. But I understand what you said about the repercussions down the line of like kids at school can be assholes. But that being said,
kids
I
are
am still an arsehole, so it's fine.
Kids are cruel.
Really are quite cruel.
School's a tough place to be. I mean,
really is.
My way for getting through school was just to befriend literally everyone.
Same.
Yeah, just same actually.
Also, befriending the bigger boys was useful because it made you kind of untouchable.
So what I did is I still am a massive nerd, but I am still massive. I got on the football team. And that just sorted me out through school, because even though I was top sets of everything, and I was a geek.
I was too, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was.
You don't know. That says it all, really, doesn't it, Harry?
I'm sorry. How many degrees do we have, guys?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up.
I said it doesn't matter.
Yeah, shut up. Because you got less than me, and that's what matters.
And I got on the football team, and as soon as I got on the football team in year 9, the rest of my school days were sorted.
See, I never
was popular, but was also never bullied. So I just got on with it.
I'm just bare likeable, so...
Are you sure?
I was like the musical one, I suppose.
Oh, you're one of those.
Drama student?
No, not drama. I just used to have to perform a lot in front of the school in assemblies.
What are you pointing at me? Drama?
I could see you doing drama.
I did do drama for GCSE.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was your GCSE play?
I actually can't remember. I think I actually can't remember.
Did you do like a modern twist on an old classic?
I probably
a bit of Shakespeare.
I honestly can't remember what I did. I'm lost.
An ode to thy bumhole.
We did Alice in Wonderland, but we did like Web 2.0 version, and it was like really weird play.
Come on, man.
It was so weird. It was basically the same story, but they updated it, so it was like used lots of internet-themed words.
Have you seen like the modern Romeo and Juliet with like Leonardo DiCaprio everything, where it's like really like gangster?
That isn't very modern anymore.
Yeah, no, but right then that gave me anxiety.
That's a great film.
And it had a pretty good soundtrack.
Baz Luhrmann's interpretation. That's very fucking good.
That's not me. It keeps makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like when your dad's trying to be cool.
That was she was in Homeland.
Oh, great series.
What's her bloomin' name?
Bloomin'
name. No, it's evaded me for this moment. It'll come back to me.
The Armorican listeners, Bloomin' is a UK thing. I never really hear it anymore.
Look, should we launch into this podcast?
Go on, press a button so we can waffle. Waffles? Average. I prefer pancakes.
Yes, it's episode 7.
Ooh, that caught me off guard. I did not like
Captain Blackbeard.
I was going for a Peaky Blinders vibe because Peaky Blinders is back.
Oh, is it?
I kind of... Yeah, okay, here we go.
I loved Peaky Blinders.
I stopped watching after season 2.
But
I think I was very distracted mentally at the time, so I couldn't get into it. But I feel like I would really like it if I actually...
You could start every story with that. You're always distracted with other things.
Is this bullying? I think it might be.
It's fine for you to bully us, but we can't. Sorry, guys. Can we just point out? Have
I bullied you once in this episode?
Ageism has already played a part
in this episode.
Well, you made a reference to me being a grumpy old man.
That's just facts. That's just facts. That's not bullying. That is just facts.
So it's not. So if it's facts, it's not bullying. It's just
100%.
telling someone the truth.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. Sorry that you can't take to the truth.
Anyway, episode 7. Fabulous to be here. Thanks to Harry and Mike for joining me once again.
Hi.
You guys well?
What are you doing? What are you looking at? He's on OnlyFans.
No, I'm just getting the questions up.
I thought you were on Snapchat. I was like, if you're
Snapchat, no, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Is Snapchat still a thing?
If you're over the age of 21 with Snapchat, we need to talk.
I'll be honest, I still have an account, but I just don't use it. But
everyone's still got accounts.
I fully deleted my account. I didn't.
Should I do that?
I didn't want to be associated with the app.
There you go.
So basically, yes.
All right. Honestly,
I thought you were going to kind of lead for a little bit.
Okay.
Do you
want me to lead? Are we going? I feel like it's too early to lead into a topic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm still doing the intro at the moment, but I felt that you. The intro? Well, okay. So subject-wise today, we've got 3 core elements that we were going to raise one each, as always. Mike, what are you bringing this week?
We are looking at free weights. I don't want to say versus machines, but the benefits and the uses, applications of both, because they are important.
Fine. That sounds
I'm looking
good.
forward to that question. I really am. I'm really looking forward to that.
And then Harry, what question are you bringing to the what subject are you bringing to the table today?
Talk about overtraining.
Ooh.
I know what people are thinking. I know a couple of you at home might be guilty of this. You train for 2 days in a row, like, I'm overtraining, boys. No, you're not. We'll get there shortly.
I'm into that. And then finally, my subject, I kind of wanted to bring in some supplement chat. I think it's about time we kind of addressed some kind of, popular things within fitness, and with a lot of people will be partaking in supplements. And a big one that some people tend to neglect, and probably maybe they should or they shouldn't, is creatine.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one because that raises a few stories we hear. My friend got creatine. He got really bad acne. We'll get there. We'll just wait for that one.
The steroids chat on creatine as well.
Anyway, we're all well. Is there anything else that you want to raise before we kick into topics?
My left nipple is particularly itchy today, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Is that maybe the choice of knitwear?
Maybe.
I rate the jumper, by the way.
Thank you very much. It's
more of a sweater, isn't it?
Sweater weather.
Tune.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm trying to think.
Oh, that's a skull.
Yeah, I've got... Because I'm emo, guys.
You are so emo. You're early 2000s to the core.
That. That's cool.
I like it too.
All right, what?
It's fine. Sorry. Has anyone done anything exciting since we last spoke?
Oh, that is... I've watched a lot of crime... We talked about this yesterday. A lot of crime shows on the old Netflix. I've got into binging those.
So real world crime stuff.
Yeah. Is it Catching Killers?
Oh,
I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The stories in that are ridiculous.
It's exciting though, isn't it?
Yeah. I couldn't believe those things have actually happened.
Question.
Go on.
Have you come across anybody in there called Peter? And is he down by any chance?
Peter is down.
Peter is down. I'm never getting over that. It still comes up in my Discord every day. Peter is down.
Well, when the storm was here and I saw all the bins are getting knocked over, and I was like, Peter is down.
I love it.
How did you cope in the storm? Did we talk about that?
The storm was really disappointing. I love a storm, as you know.
It moved my shed.
It put a hole in the kind of garage roof next to my house.
Whoa.
But that's really anticlimactic because a tree fell on it, but that's not it.
So really, the storm didn't cause that.
Yeah,
tree
it's actually
falling.
a tree. Very rude tree. Other than that, it disrupted me trying to leave my house because there were many a tree blocking the roads going into my nearby town.
Oh yeah, that is a problem.
Other than that, the storm was wildly anticlimactic, and I was really excited for it, and nothing happened.
Good.
So
cool.
Really disappointed by that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I was really upset.
No, well, trying to move house during the storm wasn't great, but
quite funny though.
Yes. Well, yeah, being stood out in the freezing cold, getting rained on, and the wind was not so funny. But we're here.
Why
we live.
does it always rain on me?
Good. Okay, let's move on.
Another great English band.
Oh, that's the best.
British band.
Sorry.
Wait, where?
Travis.
Yes. Are they
Scottish?
That's the one. So I was right with the correction from English to British.
Anyway, Mike, would you like to take over with topic number 1 for us whilst Harry makes a ton of noise with his water bottle?
I'm not very gentle. I'm sorry.
Emotional water bottle. So the first question we have is actually a user-generated question. So thank you very much to Joanna K. Johnston.
Hi. Thank you.
Your question has a few different elements, but we're just going to focus on the main one, which is using dumbbells as effective as barbells? Are free weights more effective than machines? So I've just whittled that down to free weights and machines. Kind of not necessarily a versus, but let's talk about them.
Pros and cons of each.
Yeah.
That's fair.
How to apply them, when not to apply them, maybe. Harry?
Oh, I was starting this.
Well, you said you were very excited to talk about this one.
I do quite like a topic. Ultimately, my answer kind of goes, it depends.
There it is. And that was actually going to be...
Doesn't everyone get really annoyed about the fact that we always say it depends?
Yeah, because the thing is, it's everyone's like, I want more of a straight answer, but it's just like, how do I get to Reading from here? It depends. Which way do you want to go?
You can go there
so many ways.
Are you flying?
Yeah.
Are you driving?
It depends, because ultimately, what are your goals? I think every barbell, dumbbell, free weight machine, they all have a purpose. They all have pros and cons. For example, for hypertrophy and building muscle, arguably, resistance machines are better than free weights because you can place greater emphasis on the target musculature without other limiting factors preventing you from taking that muscle close to failure, etc., etc. Flip around, dumbbells arguably are better than barbells in a certain sense because you can go through slightly different range of motions. But flip around, you can lift more with a barbell. Do you mean there are so many pros and cons? I don't think either is better than the other. It really depends on goals. So for CrossFit, for example, in most cases you probably should spend more time with free weights. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah,
well,
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
There's no CrossFit games where they kind of wheel out a leg extension.
Whereas with bodybuilding, you probably will spend more time with machines. Again, time and a place. It really depends on your goals.
Yeah, I mean, there's like exactly as you say. I think there's a time and a place.
Yeah,
it's just quite.
Resistance training is great.
For me personally, a workout would usually involve all three of those things, whether it be barbells, dumbbells, and machines.
Yeah, agreed.
Probably same.
And you can achieve the same effect like progressive overload and volume and fatigue. You could start with a machine one week or finish with a machine another week or another session. It really doesn't matter because it's ultimately about how you recruit the target muscle.
That's it. I think ultimately a workout could be effective with all of them, but like I said, when looking at maximizing, optimizing hypertrophy, in a machine is typically better. Not all the time, but typically, just obviously limiting factors I stated earlier. But doesn't mean you shouldn't do other free weight movements. Yeah. For example, like a split squat is a fantastic movement. I think it's great with a dumbbell or with dumbbells.
One couple of points that I'll make, though, however, is the one thing that kind of separates dumbbells especially is that your body will follow its own natural path with a dumbbell. Whereas with a machine, obviously, we've all sat down at certain machines and just felt like it didn't feel like a nice movement.
It's very fixed.
It's a fixed movement.
Yeah.
So therefore, everyone's got different length levers, arms, legs, and so on. And not all machines are as adjustable as others. So therefore, machines might not be ideal for, extremely tall or extremely short people because they're designed around an average human.
Well, I think that's another question you raised there is not all machines are built equal.
Yes.
Some machines, for example, Techno Gym, pretty crap resistance training machines in most cases.
Very comfy,
but they're pretty crap. They're not very adjustable. When you flip around to something like Prime, for example, very adjustable.
Hammer strength is usually pretty good.
Hammer strength is usually quite good. They're kind of in the middle, but you can get crap machines or machines that really allow you to essentially align with the kind of fiber direction so you can better tie your muscles whilst also accommodating for your leverages and stuff. But then a lot of machines don't allow that. Customization, we'll say. Yeah.
To add to that, I would also say that if some people, like for me personally, I developed a slight rotator cuff issue. And a lot of that came down to me pushing for numbers on barbell bench press. And I mean, that's just my own personal issue that I found moving over to predominantly for dumbbells for all my chest work completely got rid of that problem.
And also better for the pecs as well, because you can allow the humerus to come across the body and shorten the pecs further.
I personally feel that a barbell for chest, mainly chest, I don't mind it so much for shoulders, I feel like it gets a lot of, it's given too much praise. I think it's
pretty average.
Yes.
It's overrated.
I think that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. I think that the barbell bench press is an overrated movement. I think especially in the case of aesthetics, obviously if you're looking to be a powerlifter, that's a different case.
Well, that's because it's the sport, isn't it?
That's because, so therefore I question why are you doing that heavy barbell bench press?
Exercise redundancy.
Yeah, and I think the only barbell bench, if I were to choose a barbell bench press of all of them, the incline, flat, decline, that I would, if I had to choose one, it would be an incline to keep in, just because it targets the clavicular fibers in the length and position quite well.
I would agree with that.
I would still prefer a dumbbell, to be honest, or a hammer strength machine or a plate loaded machine. But if I were to choose a barbell bench press, I would prioritize an incline over a flat or a decline.
Yeah.
Personally, for me. But I'm curious to hear, Mike, what are your thoughts? Because obviously you're very much around the functional fitness side of things. You're more into CrossFit than obviously we are.
Yeah.
You probably have a very different outlook on training.
Well, I've got to say, I actually agree with both of you guys. It depends on the goal.
Yes.
And I would add to that as well. And it also, for me personally, it depends where your start point is as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Your training experience, for example, there are arguments to be made that both are very valuable because a free weight exercise I consider more to be a skill. It's a competency you have to build because there's a lot more going on. Whereas a machine, it takes that external stability element out because you don't need that the internal stability element is taken away because you get external stability from a machine. You would argue that though you do want free weights in there too in the program because you need to be able to generate internal stability because in life you're not fixed in a machine.
Agreed.
And also it's going to help recruit the kind of third-party muscle fibers as well with the free weight.
Exactly.
The other thing
stabilizers and things.
I think, like you say, is a good skill to learn because the way I always kind of put things was if you can do a barbell squat well, you could probably hack squat quite well. You could probably leg press quite well. You could probably do a lot of other movements well. If you can leg press well, doesn't mean you can squat well.
That's a very good way of looking at it.
So I think it's a necessary, regardless of goals, I think learning to actually do free weight movements properly, like the big ones especially, is a really important skill to learn because that's such a carryover.
Definitely, and like learning skills like that, like you said, the carryover, the kind of the carryover between both of those movements, say a leg press and a squat, it's not equal. Like it's not a two-way street completely. Yeah. So working on both is really important because especially if you want to get into different sports, having a wider base of ability and strength in general. Like everyone needs to be strong to a certain degree. If you want to become a strength athlete, that's a bias you go into. If you want to become a bodybuilder, I think being generally strong is helpful, but not as important.
Yeah.
But in order to build that strength, having a mixture of free weights and machines is useful.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much sums it up, to be honest.
Unless you were like a Mr. Olympia who had access to the best prime kit, then you could argue, but that doesn't apply to anyone here.
As a bodybuilder, when I watch like training videos of some of the big names in their incredible like oxygen gyms or whatever, where they have like I don't know 20 different machines for one body part.
Like 30 different leg presses.
Just disgusting. It's
all the angles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just jealous ultimately. But then that said, you'll see perfectly excellent physiques that have been developed solely using free weights.
Absolutely. I mean, even the classic era guys, a lot of them did predominantly free weight stuff, and they look fantastic.
Well, and I'm going to pay you a compliment. To be honest,
hello.
You as a powerlifter, knowing you for as long as I have, making that transition from powerlifting to bodybuilding, there weren't many areas that I felt you were truly lacking in as a result of focusing solely on powerlifting.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
But what I'm trying to say is, you built a respectable physique just through doing the core lifts.
Yeah, well, obviously you did accessory work as well. But the big thing that obviously held me back, I think, was because obviously the squat is a pretty good quad movement. Yeah, the bench press is obviously not the best pec movement, but it's okay for the pecs. It's average. You know what I mean. But then the deadlift is not amazing for the hamstrings and stuff like that. So my posterior chain, especially the hamstrings and the glutes, really fell behind.
Did you not focus on? Did you not kind of do like good mornings and RDLs and stuff so much?
So I did a bit, but because I was deadlifting so much, when I was then doing RDLs and good mornings, my lower back was just getting fried, especially considering at the time when I was powerlifting, I was very much in the realm of a herniated disc. So I had to limit how much lower back loading I was doing. So that almost further pushed me back down the posterior chain rabbit hole, which then also made the issue worse. But again, I think that was also probably personal laziness, neglecting doing more isolation stuff. Even when we were at the gym we were at before, I had a seated and aligned leg curl. That's good ways you can target the hamstrings in a lengthened and shortened position that way.
Very much
and
so.
I just neglected it because I didn't understand training that well at that point. So I didn't realize, wow, I could actually have a pretty effective hamstring workout just doing this.
I remember I spent some time with I can't remember his name. He was the head of Team GB powerlifting. He was over at
I know who you mean.
He was over at the Super Training gym.
Yeah, I know exactly who you mean.
That's really... We're like friends on social media.
I know that because I had a chat with him as well at Body Power. I'm going to get his name now.
Yeah, super nice guy as well.
Yeah, really nice guy.
And he put me on it was interestingly, because I was wanting to build up my strength, he put me on Russian training protocol.
I love those.
That's a bit wild, isn't it?
Yeah, which is kind of very topical. Henry Tosh, great guy, super knowledgeable. He kind of looked over our lifts and stuff.
Squat one that you did?
No, it was just for everything.
Oh, okay.
And it was some of the longest workouts I've ever done, and obviously all the numbers are pre-calculated as well based on my. We figured out what my numbers would be, and I had to stick to that. And it was like really heavy, like good mornings, really heavy lunges and stuff like that. It was brutal.
Those Russian programs, especially like the Eastern Bloc style training, obviously because they were pumped for the gear anyway. I'm not saying that's the only reason why it worked, but you can tolerate a lot more. You can tolerate a lot more, and your ability to recover from that volume was crazy. But they just had the mentality of this is what you need to lift. You will keep training until you lift this weight, and your body will adapt and overcome.
Those Russians are really good at following orders, I guess.
I'm not gonna say. I think, I used to have the Russian Olympic weightlifting program. Their squat workout, because I had a friend who competed in the Commonwealth Games, had a lot of athlete friends, and he sent it to me, and they used to train 3 times a day. It was disgusting. They go in, they squat to a certain weight. That was literally their workout.
Built a heavy single or something.
Literally, they build up over an hour, because they take 20-minute rest periods, then they leave it there. They have a meal, they chill, come back for lunch. They come back for lunch, do a light kind of some speed work here and there. Then they chill, have a lunch, do all the bits and bobs, then come back for dinner to get their volume stuff in, the sets of the 5 and the stuff. And that was their session throughout the day. They train 3 times a day.
Sounds like a nice day.
I hate it.
There's a documentary on YouTube that was taken from BBC or something. I think it might be in English. I think it might just have English subs on it. And they literally go to these camps for 4 months, and they train 3 times a day. They nap twice a day. They just eat loads of food, and they live like an athlete. They literally get taken away from their families, and they just train, and they just the people it spits out the other side of that system are what you see at the Olympic Games.
Well, like also a lot of pro bodybuilders take themselves away from their families as well. Brandon Curry goes out to Kuwait, leaves his family behind.
In fairness, he went from a very mid-tier average bodybuilder to, obviously, he won the Olympia at one point.
Yeah, he has won the Olympia. Yeah,
I mean, they changed him. They've really made
the Camel Crew.
Yeah, but it's fair enough. Like,
that's what they're called.
That it kind of shows like you go away and you really invest everything into something in an environment where you cannot not succeed if you put the work in. And he succeeded. He went from like someone who I never thought would be at the top to winning.
He's a super nice guy as well. I interviewed him with Ryan, because Ryan was with both Brandon and Ryan with SciTech, and I remember chatting to him, and he's a real family man as well, which is mad because he's got quite a lot of, he's got a big family, and yet he's still willing to sacrifice that for his sport. But then at the end of the day, you want to be the best, and you've got to give yourself the best possible chance.
I think that's a really good lesson. Like if you want to do something like faster than normally possible,
ditch the family, fuck off out of there.
So basically what we're getting here is your family are holding you back.
You need to quit your job and just do that. But no, my point standing, like when, especially I have this with clients when we have the consultation stage where they're like,
okay, so how many kids have you got? Yeah, you're going to need to get rid of them.
Need to get rid of them.
Can you half that? You got any family?
Just for 16 weeks, can you just half that?
Just say eBay, great place. I'm just saying, give him money. It could help with the training.
No, it's not trafficking. No,
it's called optimizing
a lifestyle.
Guys. Come on now.
Optimizing a lifestyle. And you ask them the question, how long you think it's going to take them to achieve something, and they give you a number, and you normally double it because you're like, life's going to get in the way. But in the case of these people that you're talking about that I don't actually know, they sound like they've put the work in, but it's come at a cost. They've had to literally bin off everything else to do that. And I think the lesson there is be a little more patient with your goals.
I don't think you'll find many Olympic gold medalists or people at the very top of elite sports that can turn around and say they didn't sacrifice something along the way.
Didn't they? I can't remember. I heard this years ago where they said to like all the Olympians, saying, "Would you take 10 years off your life to win a gold?"
Oh,
and,
yeah.
All of them.
There was a study, wasn't
there?
Yeah. They said they would have a gold medal if it meant that they
die early or something.
Like 3 years' time or something.
This kind of goes off in a bit of a tangent, which is a bit of a grey area to discuss, but we spoke about this. Like, Chris will be very aware of this. A lot of deaths in bodybuilding recently. A lot. And another guy passed away a couple of days ago. Do you hear about that, Scott Guy?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and people are pushing themselves to the extreme because it means that much to them, but also I think some people are just being, quite frankly, very irresponsible with what they're doing. Like, bodybuilding, natural or enhanced, there are risks associated with you take your body to places it probably doesn't want to go.
Performance is not a healthy state, but it's also,
I've said it before, like when I've dieted for competitions and I've worked with other people doing so, when you're hitting that peak week, as it's known in bodybuilding, it couldn't be far from the truth. It's like the total opposite of, yes, you're trying to bring a peak look for your physique on, in one very small time frame, one very small window. But the stuff that most people will do to themselves in order to do that is not healthy at all. To be that lean is not healthy for a long period of time, which is why people who persist with dieting and staying in a calorie deficit all the time will, end up not, just deteriorating, really.
Well, it probably won't be a deficit. You'll just adapt to it, and that will be
it's an awful place to be. But so it's something to be very careful of. Obviously, there are ways of doing it more healthily, but that's a big subject that we'll maybe discuss one day.
I think we'll probably touch on like a future episode regarding like the deaths in bodybuilding, because obviously I think there's been so many of them. It's definitely worth bringing up and speaking about what could have contributed.
I've had long discussions about it with other people on shows before, and it's something needs to be done about bodybuilding and even elite sports in general.
It's the big one is the diuretics. I was speaking to my coach about this, and he reckons natural bodybuilding is going to boom over the coming years because of what's been occurring in the enhanced world. Obviously, they're already trying to push away from the open and trying to make the classic more prominent, and also just the massive amount of diuretics being used is absolutely... Boston Lloyd was on dialysis at like 26 years old. Then he unfortunately passed at 29 years old due to heart failure. So it's just a big topic for a future.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to hear it. If you don't want to hear it, we'll probably still talk about it anyway.
Yeah, if you do want us to talk about a subject that we touch on, or if you got any suggestions, then obviously do reach out to us via the usual mediums. Obviously via the Instagram account, which is Pump Fiction Pod.
Yeah, can more people ask us stuff? Because whenever I put a story on my Instagram saying ask us a question for the podcast, I never get that many, but when I do a random Q&A saying ask me something, you get loads.
Well, I do have some Q&A form submissions, which is good.
I'm looking. We don't know what those are, by the way. I'm going to clarify. We're not allowed to see.
I'll bring them up later. But yes, so we will talk about some other subjects similar to those kind of more kind of in-depth, kind of deeper, darker subjects, maybe in future shows.
Wrap it back round to the conclusion. Ultimately, free weights versus machines.
Oh yeah,
depends on your goals. They time and a place for both. Very effective. Yeah. Pros and cons. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve. Goals
and probably where you currently are at in terms of training experience.
But also a good workout can include all aspects of those things.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think a good balanced training program will bounce between those. Even different niche sports per se, they will have cycles of training.
Good stuff. Good topic. Side note. Side question. Have you two ever met anyone famous?
Define famous, though.
I don't know. Like, who's the most famous person you've met?
God, I really know.
Ooh. I met Chris Hoy.
Nice.
He was at the Pure Gym Awards many years ago. And
what's he like?
He's very big legs. Very big quads.
Very big, aren't
they? Very, very nice guy. I was quite drunk at the time. And I just remember saying to him, your legs are massive. And he just went, yeah. And I was like, that was such a dumb thing to say out loud, and just kind of like, anyway, well done on everything, and just kind of left.
Big fan of your quads.
A really big fan of your big legs.
Your legs are really big.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go now.
I don't really know the most famous person.
Anyone seen in public? I don't know.
I've seen Simon Cowell in public.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I saw him at Harrods years ago. He was in front of me on the escalator, him and his at-the-time girlfriend.
Reggie Yates walked past me in London, and I kind of did one of those double take situations. I was like, oh, I know who that is.
On my plane to LA, there was a man I assume was a celebrity. So I was in the premium economy because I'm overweight and heavy, and I got basically a free upgrade. It was sick, loved it. And there's a man in front of us who, I want to clarify, when he reclined his seat, nearly took me out, and I swear I nearly threw words with him. But the staff were all over him. Is there anything we could do for you? Are you happy? Then they bumped him up to first class.
Wow.
But he looked familiar, but I couldn't pinpoint where from. And like I said, everyone was treating him like royalty. Like all the stuff.
Someone
such a big fan,
famous.
Such a great. Yeah. But I had no idea who he was.
You should have fucking asked.
I'm like, sorry, quick question.
Not him. You could have asked the stewardess.
Who are you?
Excuse me. Move your seat back. Sorry, can I get a name?
Yeah. Sorry. How much do you bench? Oh, okay. Yeah. Less. Goodbye. That's what you have to ask.
Enjoy first class.
I don't know. My dad's best friend was on Dancing on Ice.
What? What, as a dancer?
Yeah, he's a two-time Olympic gold medalist.
That's pretty cool.
He's his best man at his wedding. We used to live with him after the divorce, and they're best friends. I'm actually seeing him tomorrow. And he climbed Everest.
Romantic.
And he's the coolest dude. I love him. Went to LA. He met me in LA. We met Arnie together. We used to watch Arnie movies when we were growing up.
You met Arnie?
There we go.
Oh, my God.
There you go. I forgot about him.
When you think of...
I don't really care about
the guy that you think of when you think of fitness, you're like, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I got a picture with Arnie and shook his hand.
How tall is he? How tall is he?
A lot shorter than I thought he was going to be. Everyone said he was like 6'1".
No.
Or 6'2". He's like 5'10".
There was that picture of him when he was 16, when he was obviously still jacked. And I think he's like stood next to a tank or something. And he's stood in like a pond, hiding his calves. And it was apparently because he hated his calves so much.
Oh, that was a big theory that he went to Austria for 3 months and came back with massive calves. And everyone thought he had calf implants. But
sorry, go on.
No, I was just say I said to him, I actually saw him 5 times.
I'll be back.
I saw him 5 times because I went to LA first time 2015, and we literally stayed round the corner from Gold's Gym. I said, sick. And my friend goes, you know Arnie trains there? I said, shut up. No, he doesn't. This man's 100 million. No, he doesn't. We walk in.
It's a great gym. It's so big.
It's a bit overrated. Walk in, and I was just training. I was like, that's fucking Arnie. So he's there with I assume I don't know where he is. I think he's on TV. He's got dwarfism. Really short man.
Not Danny DeVito.
No. And he was trained together. He's in a few videos with Arnie on
YouTube. He does hang out with Danny. Well, no, he's in film.
And then he was with his, I assume, bodyguard, some 6'5" guy who didn't really lift, but he was training with him. I went up to him and said, look, do you mind if I get a picture with Arnie, please? And he goes, I'll come back after his session in about 20 minutes. Bear in mind, this man's just walked in. He literally trained for 20 minutes a day. I want to clarify that. Jokes. And then...
Did you pick him up on that at the end? I mean, seriously, Arnie.
Well, he came in, he trained rear delts, then he left. That's it. That's all he did. I was like, fair enough. And then, so I went to go speak to him. He went MIA. because of loads of people. Eventually, I said, fuck it. Steve, the gold medalist dude, was there. I said, Steve, look, we used to watch Arnie movies. Let's just do it. He goes, oh, I don't know. I said, fuck him. Okay. So I went over to Arnie. He's walking out. I fucking grab him. I run straight there. I said, Arnie, look, can I get a picture? He looks at me and goes, be quick. That's all he said. That's literally all he said. So I said, brilliant.
Be quick.
So I'm there shaking, sweating, trying to get my camera on like this. Front-facing camera was like... And then eventually I took a picture. He just looks at the camera and goes, I take a picture. Then he hops on his bicycle.
Yeah, he's always famous for being on his bicycle.
With his boat shoes on. And just cycles off. And I saw him a few times after that, and I was a bit like, kind of like, in my head I'm thinking, Charles, I've looked up to you since I was 5 years old.
Is it one of those like situations where don't meet your heroes?
But I also understand because he's busy, loads of people. He probably
imagine the hassle.
Yeah,
he loved
I do
it.
understand.
Like we've all seen the documentary.
He hates it. He hates it. I'll tell you that. He just literally wouldn't even look at anyone. But
but at the time, you see how happy he was about how much attention he loved it back in the day.
Oh yeah, but now he's
just worn a bit thin. Now he's a million years
old.
old.
You see, 50 Cent.
Okay, good.
Wow.
He was at Gold's Gym with Arnie. He was next to me on the leg curl. I didn't say anything to him. I was too scared. I saw the man squatting 40 kilos in the Smith machine.
I went to that gym twice, and the most famous I went to that gym twice, and the only famous, Mike O'Hearn.
I saw him as well.
I mean, he's quite famous.
With his dog,
little more niche.
With Stryker was there, the dog.
Yeah.
So Sylvester Stallone's brother was there, who's in like 24 or something like that show. But yeah, 50 Cent and Arnie were back to back.
So I met Mark Wahlberg.
That's quite cool. I bet he's a nice guy.
I've got a photo with Mark. We chatted about his F45 bullshit for a little bit.
Who's taller?
We're fucking similar. We're about the same. I think hang on, I'll have to check the photo. I think we're the same.
I met Pixie Lot, R.I.P.
She did.
I saw her.
No, not Pixie Lot. Pixie. No, what's that?
Pixie Lot was my friend's friend.
sorry to break the news to you.
She did.
No. I got my people mixed up. Just goes to show how significant the meeting was.
I don't really care about
No, who was it? Who's the guy that... I'm drawing a blank on names here. The guy that did Live Aid.
Damn it, he's fucking taller than me.
That's a meme. You look like a B-Tech Wolverine.
Honestly, my entire life I've been called Wolverine. Since I had facial hair from like 15, I've been called Wolverine.
Her name? Well, I need to find it.
Show me your willy.
I don't really.
I'll tell you what. I was going to say something about. Who we talking about? Pixie Lot?
No, not Pixie. No, who's Live Aid? Who's the guy?
Couldn't tell you.
That organised that?
Mid-year. Oh, Bob Geldof.
His daughter. Doesn't his daughter pass away?
Paulie Yates. He adopted her, I think.
No, the daughter.
Oh, no, yes.
Peaches.
Peaches Geldof.
She passed away, didn't she?
Yeah, I met her actually because she was dating a guy in a band that we played a gig with.
I met her in New York. I was in
cool.
American Apparel. And I thought I stood next to my friend. I was buying some pants, as you do. And I was like, I quite like these pants. And I thought that I turned kind of to her to say, what colour should I get? And then I realised I stood next to her and she just kind of looked at me and went, the blue ones look nice. I was like, thanks. So I bought them and then left.
You said you want to see me in them?
No, I was definitely not confident enough to say anything like that.
If I could meet... Okay, flip around. If there's one celebrity in the world you can meet, it doesn't have to be a known celebrity, it could be a celebrity in your eyes. Let's all answer it. Who would it be?
Oh, no, hang on a minute.
You can't just spring that.
You always do this to me. You ask a question, then you guys ask me first.
You got 5 seconds, go.
No.
Okay, go on.
Okay, no, I've got one. Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl?
I love Dave Grohl.
I've been in the same room as Dave Grohl.
I don't want to hear
it. Who do you meet?
I can't. Can I have to the end of the show, please?
Okay, he's going to say Winston Churchill.
Look, see, mine's not a celebrity. There's a sophomore chance. No,
don't know who that is.
There's a guy on the YouTube comment section. He's been around for 3 years, if not more, and he writes some top tier comments. I think he knows me personally because he said something about Nando's that I spoke about on YouTube before. He wrote, the Stan song Eminem. He wrote his own lyrics to it, but talking about us, like me, Jason.
Also, right? Okay, yeah, so we think this guy might be a little bit really into you. Like,
I think he knows us personally, and I've been trying to figure out. I didn't hear from him for ages, and every 6 months he just pops up.
He probably just sees one of your channel's notification and thinks,
and he'll reply. He'll comment something really small, and I literally say, if I could meet anyone in the world, it would be him. And I still trying. Who are you? He might be listening to this now, but sophomore chance. Who are you? It's all I want to know. Then
hashtag let's find him.
I can die happy if I know. I want 50k special. I want sophomore chance to reveal himself.
You should get him on.
Get
him to make a video. And
if I knew who it was, I would.
You could get him to do you could DM him, get him to do a video, and then you could do a whole breakdown.
OnlyFans. There we go.
Good stuff. Right, we're now moving on to Harry's topic.
God.
Overtraining. I can't remember what was asked, but something about overtraining.
Just the word in general. Just keep saying overtraining for the rest of the episode.
So how much overtraining is needed to overtrain fully?
So what is our perception of overtraining? Is that
I assume so. Mike, did you put the question in the thing saying what?
No, you just said overtraining would be a good shout. So I thought about this after you said it, and I think for me, I'm just going to speak from my point of view, is overtraining is very hard to achieve.
Agreed.
And I think that the whole idea that overtraining is a myth is too far the other way. But I think to achieve overtraining is a very difficult thing to do.
But then you're someone who also believes in deload weeks, which would therefore suggest that without those deload weeks, you would be overtraining.
To fair, I can. Do you mind if I jump in?
Go on then.
So I'm back in Mike. I'm a big fan of deload weeks as well. But ultimately, I don't consider it overtraining. I call it more fatigue management to prevent long-term overtraining. So overtraining to the point where you're massively
fatigued. Then therefore, to insert a deload week means there is such thing as overtraining.
Oh yeah, I think overtraining, but I think it's really hard. As you said, it's hard to achieve.
You could argue the other way. There's under recovery, which sounds like it's just the opposite of that, but.
Under recovered,
like,
basically.
Being under recovered, I'm thinking of things like you're not managing your lifestyle very well, which is actually very easy to do, is to under recover.
Well, I think it's not just training, it's sleep, it's stress, nutrition, so many things to consider. But I think overtraining is certainly a thing, but I think it's thrown around too often. Like, I trained 6 days this week, I think I'm overtraining. You are probably overtraining, but you're not overtrained. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're training probably too much. 6 days, maybe 7 days in a week is probably excessive, but you're not experiencing overtraining. Like
are you achieving anything by doing those extra sessions? And I kind of look at it as like, you can, if you're well recovered, you can actually handle more training volume.
100%, but fatigue management, isn't it?
But most people are not recovering as well as they could be. Therefore, doing like a deload week is just sensible, because you're kind of pushing yourself towards a red line. But whether people actually cross it very often, I don't really think so. I think people are more just under-recovered. That would be my argument.
I think that one thing, not so much, wouldn't call it overtraining, but being wary of your central nervous system.
Yeah, CNS fatigue, yeah.
CNS fatigue, yeah. So, and a good means to continue training at a decent rate and avoiding that is just varying your style of training and kind of your focus within that, I would say.
I think the way I kind of approach things is the only reason I really bring in deload weeks is, like I said, with the under recovery fatigue management stuff, is because obviously you don't manage fatigue, you're probably going to hurt yourself. You could get injured. It limits your ability to progress because you might start regressing because you can't recover enough. So many things which, although directly aren't necessarily what you say, like overtraining syndrome, if you want to call it something like that.
Yeah. That
then leads you to the point where you are probably training excessively or overtraining, which is then preventing your ability to progress. So that you throw in a deload, so it's almost like you hit the limiter and then you chill out for a bit, then you hit the limiter again and chill out sort of thing.
I think periodizing tactically pushing yourself to a limit and then easing off is a good way to kind of continue pushing your limit.
Well, I think that's what most like bodybuilding blocks kind of do.
It's a wave system, isn't it, really?
So you start with almost like, if you're let's say you do a 12-week block or a 16-week block, something along those lines. The start of the block, obviously we know the green zone for like muscle growth is like 0 to 4 reps in reserve. You're probably nearer the 4 reps in reserve at the start of the block, and then as the block goes on, you probably get nearer the 0 reps in reserve. The volume is probably a bit lower at the start, and obviously as you progressively overload, you then also can increase volume as well. So the volume probably increases throughout the block until you reach that limiter, and then you take it down again, and then we go again, and you take it down again.
So just talking on experience, I suppose, when I've trained super hard for competitions, let's say, and I've dieted down and pushed myself, and at the end of the day I'm so focused on it that you're giving literally everything you have to your training sessions, and then once you've achieved the ultimate goal of getting beyond that, and then suddenly you relax and you maybe introduce more calories and more rest and so on, and you give yourself a bit of a break. I found that those were my best periods of gain, where I essentially eased off, ate more, and when things about. So I think the point I'm trying to get at is by continually going ham all the time, I wasn't making progress. Obviously I was in a calorie deficit, I wasn't likely to, but then, do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, I know what you mean.
But then the minute you kind of reverse that and give your body a break. And then when I then got back into training again as per normal, those sessions were better because ultimately I probably had overworked myself, but it was planned. And it's the people that often don't have an end goal will therefore just end up going constantly and not really giving themselves a break. So that's why giving yourself goals can prevent those overtraining bits, because you'll essentially periodize points where you're going hard and you're not going hard.
I think it's important, especially kind of going back to the deload thing, is when I put a deload in, it's normally because it's warranted. I don't just throw it in because I'm like, oh, we're on week 6 now, we have to deload.
You listen to the body.
Yeah, and if you see the performance is still growing, you're like, no, you're obviously not really anywhere near. You're recovering enough to adapt to what you need to overcome. So why would we slow the train down? Like, let's just keep going and pushing. Yeah. But if a client, it's not always just a physical thing. If you can see they're mentally fatigued, sometimes it's
motivation.
It's good to just be like, you know what, we'll do a quote unquote deload, because right now you kind of need to take a step back from your training. And if it's planned, people don't feel like they're failing, like they don't feel like they're falling off the wagon because their coach has said to them, yep, you've done really, really well, and now I'm just going to deload you for a week and then we're going to come back after we can hit it hard. I'm not telling them I'm doing that because I can see your life's in the toilet at the moment and you're not training very well. But it's a kind of client management tool, as well as you just got to pay attention to what's happening in front of you. I think you can't just throw something in just because the textbook says that you have to.
I know some people, and a lot of people probably do plan deloads, which I think is fine. You certainly can, but I'm very much similar to you. Personal preference is I like to deload when I feel like I need to deload. Listening
to your body.
Yeah. Like if I say, because if I flip around, so like you said, obviously, we'll get to week 12, it's time for week 6, it's time for a deload. But well, we're still progressing, what's the need? But also flip around saying, we got to week 12, or we're going to deload at week 12. I'm at week 8, and I'm like, I'm struggling actually. Do you mean like you've got to listen to your body? It's all well and good saying, roughly you'll probably end up deloading every 12 weeks or so, near enough. But if you need it sooner, take it sooner. If you need it later, take it later.
Precisely. It's kind of keeping things fluid.
Yeah.
And reacting, like, especially with coaching. Coaching is managing what's in front of you, not just looking at the clipboard and saying, we're on week 12 now, you're making loads of progress, we're going to deload you now. Why? Because that's what I planned 12 weeks ago, and we're just going to stick to it.
And it's also things like, it depends on how they're training. So, for example, if a bodybuilder is going down like a periodizing block where they start with lower volume, lower intensity, and increase as the weeks go on, which again is just an approach. Not everyone will do it. Like, for example, for me, most of the time I don't personally, but I would, and I have, and I might program it for some people depending. But then it's like, well, you're kind of planning that you're probably going to need to deload around this mark. But if you're not following that kind of periodizing approach, it's like, well, you can't really say if you need it at 12 weeks because you don't know how you're going to feel at 12 weeks. Are you in a deficit? You're in a surplus as well?
Well, that's the thing.
Are you natural? Are you enhanced? So many things to consider.
That's the thing, like with your point there, like because you're planning to increase the volume maybe to such a degree, it would probably be wise to have one maybe penciled in, ready to go.
But you don't have to take it.
You don't have to take it because you will get in that kind of recovery trap where then you'll just be doing so much volume, you don't quite recover enough to overcome and adapt. You just recover enough for the next session, and then then you'll see you're just spinning the wheels, but then your numbers will dictate that. You'll see that, especially like, I can't really, my performance in the gym is not there.
I'm
weeks flat now.
I haven't managed to progressively overload for a couple of weeks.
I feel flat.
Motivation, I'm not there. I can't really.
I don't want to train. It's like, well, maybe just taking a week, doing something a bit different, whether it's reducing volume or intensity or something, might help.
Another thing that my coach actually implemented was when deloading, he deliberately makes sure I don't listen to anything like any music that's kind of like high up. So like none of my
stop you just going, I'm going for it.
Not even just that, just like even just mentally almost like deprive me from getting hyped and like, do you know what I mean? Like if you like, so he said just listen to chill music. So I listen to sad songs, and it almost deprives you from like, you're in the gym, you're really relaxed, and you're almost like, I'm desperate to. Now when it gets to the end of the week and you're like, I'm desperate to go to the gym, listen to my screamo, give it the beans. So now I'm always more motivated and like eager to train. It's almost like you're kind of pulling back and then you let go of the rubber band to let it ping.
Interesting. I never thought about kind of the music listening to dictate this session.
I've started adopting it with some of my clients, especially the more like powerlifting focused ones or maybe bodybuilder, and they just say like, well, let's just see it. I've tried it on me, and now let's try on you. Just almost that
reduce
mental
some of the noise.
Reduce mental stimulation when you're in the gym, and really just executions can be top tier. So you reduce the volume, intensity down massively. Executions could be splendid though.
It makes sense because there is research to show like how much music affects motivation in the gym.
I couldn't agree more.
So take it down.
It makes sense that imagine like someone who, especially if you're prone to being egged on and being like, no, I'm going to do it. We've all trained with people. It's like, I thought you were supposed to be taking it easy this week. It's like, nah, PB'd again, and you're like, oh.
And on top of that, it's like you don't need to get hyped for a deload.
No.
If anything, you need to just be calm.
Yeah.
Focus.
Do it properly.
Meditation. It basically is. It's like, you've seen Warrior, the movie, where he goes in. It's like Beethoven. It's like that. It's like you take things as a flow. You really focus on what needs to focus on, not the music. And then when you get back to it, it's like, hey, deload's over. Time to hit it again. I've not listened to my hype music in the gym for a week now. I'm almost even more motivated to get hyped, and now I'm going to try even harder.
Sensitivity.
But no, it's kind of an experimental stage.
I like it. It's interesting,
but I'm seeing how it works. It worked well for me. I liked it because I was more eager when I got back. But I don't know if that was just me convincing
You could listen to our podcast while you're deloading.
Oh God,
that's not a bad idea though.
I have trained to listen to podcasts when I've been taking it easy, and it does.
I do podcasts with cardio. But
makes sense though. Like that's a challenge to, if you're listening to this and you're about to deload, try listening to chill music, things that don't get you hyped when you're deloading. Try listening to our podcast when you're deloading. How about that?
I was going to say, actually, we should all do a Spotify playlist of music.
Already got one.
Ooh.
Already got the TFNL playlist.
Yeah, well, you can contribute yours, and then Mike can do his, and I'll do mine, and then people can, we've got different. But then is your taste similar to Harry's taste, Mike?
Probably closer to yours than yours.
But you have a lot of an overlap.
There's probably a bit of an overlap.
I think you're kind of in the middle.
I don't know.
Goldilocks zone.
I think mine will be different to everyone's.
I think yours are probably the most abstract out of the three of us.
I think Mike would probably tolerate your music better than I would.
Yeah,
that's
true.
what I'm saying. No offense.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
If it doesn't make me cry or make me want to throw hands with someone, I don't want it.
Fair enough.
Or anyway, that's
homework for next show is to present how many songs? 20 songs?
Can you?
Should we make it an hour so people could listen to it while they train?
That's probably about 20 songs then.
Yeah. So 20 songs.
Okay, sure.
Okay, that's right. Okay, is it? Can it be a mixture of just even sad songs as well?
It can be.
It's your playlist, mate.
It's your playlist.
I do like a sad song. You know what? Oh, I'm going to get some hype. Okay.
I need
I need a formula.
You can even order it in terms of the warm-up.
Peaks and troughs, yeah. So you can build people in and then bring people down.
Top set song. You should be peaking about
Power
that.
song.
I'm going to plan. Can you remind me, because I will forget.
I have to remind you to do everything. I have to say, oh, Harry, can you do a bit of promo? And then you don't even reply yes. You just do a bit of promo.
Then I reply yes afterwards.
Like an hour later. Say done.
Yeah,
done.
Because it's done.
You're just so hard to talk to sometimes.
No, I'm
You're like a teenager.
No, I'm not. You say Harry can do promo, so I do promo. Then I'll say, I can reply to Chris later.
Oh, for God's sake.
Maybe we should start tone indicating when we message, so you know that I'm not actually...
Oh my God, this sounds too... No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'll just voice note you. There you go. You can hear my tone there.
We send each other podcasts anyway.
We do.
Audiobooks.
It's 20 minutes.
Literally 20-minute voice notes to each other when I'm on the toilet all the time.
I can hear the plots.
I'm beginning to worry about the relationship between you two, actually.
Yeah, it's called love, Chris.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm the kind of evidently the...
You're the mum.
Yeah, brilliant.
Dad and the mum.
Single
parent family.
Modern family.
Good. Have we rounded off that last subject?
I think we've rounded off.
So basically, overtraining is a thing. You can certainly overtrain, but you're probably not overtraining. You're probably further away than you think. But I think what you need to focus on is less overtraining, but more fatigue management. So you're not overdoing it and under recovering.
And yeah,
there we go. What we're going to go for?
I'm happy with that. So focus on your rest more than your overtraining,
and listen to your body. 100%.
Yeah, listen to the bod.
Okay, cool.
And the pod.
And I like that.
Listen to the bod and the pod whilst training. Fair enough. Good stuff. Good vibes. All right, good. Anything we want to cover before we move on to topic number 3?
Drugs, creatine, same thing. Let's go.
We're going in.
Right, so I felt that, and I guess probably a lot of our listeners might be new to various supplements. I mean, most people know a lot about your average whey protein and so on. We could probably go into detail on that in a particular show. But one supplement that people probably have heard a lot about, some people might know a lot about it already, some people might know nothing about it, is creatine. And specifically, I would say creatine monohydrate, because it is really the only one that is kind of scientifically backed and well tested, I would say.
It's the most researched supplement on the market, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also one of the cheapest.
It is now. It wasn't back in the day.
Although apparently there's a creatine shortage at the moment. Breach told me creatine prices have skyrocketed because there's a creatine shortage.
Really?
Yeah, he sent me a message last week about it, and I was like, bloody hope not.
So it's naturally found. It's not a steroid. It's not kind of,
No, it's, I think
red meat and fish.
It's predominantly red meat. They say you probably consume, depending on your intake, about a gram of creatine a day or so.
Yeah.
But then obviously you supplement. Okay, first of all, can we just clarify? Creatine is, I think, for a lot of people, obviously depending on your goals. If your goals are more, let's say, resistance training especially, I think a lot of people could actually benefit from taking creatine. It's one of the few supplements I would ever actually probably recommend people do consider. I'm not saying take it, but consider. But ultimately, there's a lot of crap out there from some companies trying to sell you more than you need. First of all, do not pay a lot for creatine. It's cheap as shit. Do not waste your money on flavoured creatine. It's just an extra bit of spending money. Yeah, it's the thing. It's just how they get more money from you. Don't do it. It tastes like nothing anyway. I put it in my mouth and just a little sip of water and swish it around.
It doesn't taste great. I normally have a little bit.
It flour.
It's not. It's a bit grainy. It's a bit sandy.
It doesn't mix so well though. That's the only issue with it.
It's quite sandy.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a big mix of a loading phase. All this. Just take every day without fail. Just simple approaches. 5 grams a day. Every day, roughly the same time, but it's not actually that deep, just every single day. Don't care if you're training, you're resting, 5 grams a day every day. No, you don't need to cycle on, you don't need to cycle off. It's not steroids, just 5 grams a day every day.
So yeah, one of the old school kind of misconceptions was that it would create water retention and that was really only people who were doing tons of it.
Yeah.
Because essentially the way creatine works is it essentially doesn't it draw more water into the muscle, essentially builds
into the muscle cells.
Yeah.
Helps
with that energy,
helps with recovery
as well,
helps with energy production.
But I think that
pathways and things,
a great rule of thumb for most people is 5 grams pre or post workout.
So I normally have my creatine just before bed when I take all my supplements, because it takes, was it 3 weeks to get into the system properly or something along those lines. So that's why I say timing's not massively important. But again, if it's convenient to have it pre or post workout, most people have it in their pre-workout sometimes.
Yeah, it's included a lot now because it's so cheap. It's a bit of a filler.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
But like a useful filler.
Yeah, it's just, don't worry. I don't think there's ever actually been any noted side effects commonly associated with creatine.
I've never seen anything negative about it.
Early days there were, but when you actually dig into the research, these people already had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And I think the thing, like, you'll hear stuff like, oh, won't it ruin your kidneys and your liver?
My kidneys are already ruined. Trust me, look at my EGFR.
Your bloods.
Doctors said, oh no, Harry, there's a problem here.
The only thing I would probably recommend is just kind of, if you're somebody that doesn't track how much water they take in at all, probably just notice a little bit more how much you're drinking, because you will get a bit more dehydrated potentially, because it will pull.
There's grounds to say you should make sure you're well hydrated in general.
Yeah, exactly. More so if you're going to be taking creatine, it will pull water from other areas of the body. So just watch your water intake a little bit.
I think most people should benefit from just, like you said, just tracking water. Actually, it's
massively.
really beneficial.
I mean, if we have to explain to people that drinking water and making sure you're getting enough of it, that's kind of the most basic topic we can probably bring to.
You should probably focus on that first before you start taking creatine.
Yeah, it's the enhanced performance benefits of water and just lifestyle benefits huge.
One other thing I can add to the creatine usage is that I believe it's quite well documented that consuming carbs with creatine is beneficial, because it actually helps drive the creatine into the muscle.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Because if you think about the glycogen recruitment into the muscle as well.
I've read something similar where it's to do with, obviously, it uses a similar pathway and it can bring the glucose into the muscle a bit faster potentially. So this is one of those things that probably is all intertwined, isn't it?
Do some digging on that if you will, but I've definitely heard it from several well-respected people that it is beneficial to consume creatine with a carbohydrate.
I think the other thing is, when considering what to expect from creatine regarding performance enhancement benefits, you probably will not notice anything. The percentage increase in performance is so low. Like supplements, they a little bit better.
It's like the 1-2%, isn't it?
Yeah, minimal. It's not like you're taking enhancements where you're going to get the 10, the +%.
Essentially, it's quite well documented for enabling kind of a good, slightly quicker recovery and so on.
Slightly.
But what I will do quickly is just read out a couple of the scientific bits and bobs that are supposed stuff.
Love that. Really official.
So it helps you gain muscle in the following ways. So boosted workload. It enables more total work or volume in a single training session. But apparently,
well, we talked just about overtraining, didn't we? So potentially
could help with more volume.
Improved cell signaling. Basically, it can increase satellite cell signaling, which aids muscle repair and new muscle growth.
And doesn't it also lead to increase or can contribute to increasing power output or force output through energy system recruitment, which also then in turn allows you to then progressively overload further and better, therefore lead to better benefits regarding muscle gain, things on the lines.
And the satellite cell stuff, like, that's great, because once you build those cells, they don't go away.
No.
Yeah,
so
satellite cells is a good subject actually, because ultimately people who worry about losing muscle or not training, let's say, and then getting back into it, that's what your satellite cells are all about.
Yeah, and that's
raised anabolic hormones. So studies note a rise in hormones such as IGF-1 after taking creatine.
That's probably why people think it's steroids.
Yeah, realistically, if there's anything anabolic, I want it now.
Yeah, put it on my cornflakes.
And this is naturally found, guys. So you can get it in, as we were saying, red meat and fish and so on. Increased cell hydration. That's essentially what we were saying before about the water content into the muscle cells, and that increases the volume of the muscle, which plays a part in muscle growth. Reduced protein breakdown, so it may increase the total muscle mass by reducing the amount of muscle breaking down. Also sounds good. Lower myostatin levels. So elevated levels of the protein myostatin can slow or totally inhibit new muscle growth. Supplementing with creatine can reduce these levels, increasing growth potential.
Didn't Big Ramy have like a myostatin deficiency, which is why he just turned into a mutant, like the Belgian blue cow or something like that? Like, not to that extent, but that's basically that's the kind of comparison of what it does.
There is another benefit as well with creatine, is for vegans and vegetarians, they tend to have less creatine in their diet. So this will help kind of offset some of those things.
And it is a vegan approved supplement as far as I'm aware.
I think any vegan or vegetarian needs to be very switched on to supplementation if they really want to get a full varied diet. I mean, there are ways of doing it through vegan foods, but you're going to struggle to get certain total
like a complete profile.
A complete protein. The complete protein is the word that's used a lot, and that is essentially the full, range of amino acids. Essentially. And
also even other micros like B12 deficiency is quite common in those who adopt a vegan approach and stuff.
I tell you what, guys, we should probably do an episode where we get on some kind of vegan specialist to talk about.
Do you know any?
Probably can get hold of some. Yeah, I would imagine. I do have a friend of mine who is a top nutritionist who used to write for Men's Health and the BBC and places like that. So if we do want to bring on a good guest, Alex Ferrantino, a good friend of mine, is very, very knowledgeable.
That'd be good. Yeah,
he's a great voice on nutrition and training in general. So he's very well spoken. So he'd be quite good for us. But yeah, so are we happy with extolling the virtues of creatine?
Yeah, basically creatine, I think, depending on the goals, but let's say like muscle building, things along those lines, it's definitely worth a consideration. It's probably one I think we would all recommend. No, you're probably not going to get any side effects from it, and if you do, you're an anomaly. Yes, you may well get some benefit from it, but again, the benefits, manage expectations. You're not going to suddenly put 10 kilos on your bench press. No, it's marginal benefits, but it certainly, in most cases, can't harm, and it may well do you some good.
It's a cheap way to potentially optimize your training and your recovery.
Like Mike said, just find that extra percent sort of thing.
I think as long as you've got your big rocks in place as well, just generally with your diet and nutrition, you probably could see a difference, or you might not notice a difference until you come off it.
But you may even, if you track your numbers, you may actually see a bit of a difference, not physically, but if your numbers are... Obviously, you go, actually, I got an extra.
Even if it's a placebo for you, if you taking it means that you get better performance and therefore closer to your goals, then who's to say it's not working?
And it's cheap as shit.
It is so cheap.
And also, remember, supplements are there to supplement your diet, not replace anything. So make sure you are eating a good diet.
Correct. Facts.
Okay.
Good. Okay, topics done. We are done. We can now
user generated time.
We can now do some we can turn to the Google form, which you guys have started contributing to, which makes me happy no end.
Chris is the only one who's allowed to look at the form. He won't allow Mike and I to have a look.
Trusted with the information.
Yeah, that's fair, because I want kind of natural responses from you. I think that's not unreasonable. Okay, what have we got?
Liver King is in New York. That's what I'm saying.
Is he?
Yeah, and he's done some things. Yeah, he's just walking around New York topless at the moment.
I mean, that's his kind of shtick, isn't it? Shall we say?
He's quite short.
First of all, a couple of good gym confessions.
Oh, go on.
First one comes from...
can we say the name? If it's a confession, can you say the name?
Yeah, because they've not ticked the box that says to keep it anonymous. So therefore...
Please keep an eye on that box.
Yeah.
Please keep an eye on the tick box.
The first one comes from none other than local gym member and super fan Noah Groves.
Yes, big man.
Shout out Noah.
I'm a super fan of yours.
So Noah's gym confession goes as follows. Tried doing some dumbass balance pull-ups using a mag grip over the bulldog rack. No clue what I was thinking, but I saw someone else do it. Yeah, it didn't go well. I fell and landed on a bench, and the mag grip fell on my head, cut my scalp, and blood all down my face. Had to walk up to Ryder, who's one of Harry's friends, and say I'd done some dumb shit and got hurt. There you go. Has anyone else?
Serves you right, don't be a dickhead.
I was going to say, like, we spoke to Noah yesterday, didn't we? And he spoke about this, and I asked him why he did it, and then he uttered the infamous words, online I saw this, and as soon as he said that, I was like, it's just white noise.
I saw it on Instagram.
I was like, I can't deal with this.
At the end of it, we've all done some stupid shit.
Of course we have.
I've got when we finish this section, I've got a Q&A question as well, actually.
Good. Well, thank. If you've got any other good confessions, I did have another one actually, which I need to quickly find. Where is the confession? Oh yeah, here we go. This one comes from Nervous Newbie, who also did a pretty long question that we could look at some point in some show topics. But the confession I will bring up now. My husband once saw a man drying his balls under the hand dryer in the changing rooms.
That man is ahead of the times. Great guy. Honestly, genius.
So you're on board with that?
No, I'm not actually on board with that at all. But I thought the image of it is really funny.
I mean, at least
you do.
At least he's not touching anything with his balls.
If you are going to do that, just make sure no one else is around. That's all I'll say. Do it in the privacy of your
and then
own
don't
place.
proceed to maybe cup or move your balls around to dry them, and then touch other things,
and
because that's not cool.
Don't ask anyone to help. I'm just saying.
Just get round the back for me.
So can you just spread one side? I'll get the other.
How big are these balls?
Basketball.
The final confession before we move on to Q&A is a really good one, actually. It comes from the lovely Georgie.
Who's Georgie?
I don't know.
Who are you?
Just says Georgie if she wants to give us...
She?
Who is she?
You know
that's an old reference.
I respect you.
Big brother.
You're a good person.
Okay, so it goes as follows. I just smashed a heavy leg day when a man who caught my eye walked in to start his session. Obviously, I wanted to tempt him with the pump. So rather than going home, I decided to carry on my session and keep up the heavy lifts to keep him extra impressed. Big mistake. Exhausted and fatigued, my shake disagreed with me and I started throwing up in my mouth. Which I then had to swallow.
How'd it taste?
As I ran out the door, I threw up again in the car park next to what turned out to be his car.
Oh, no.
It worked, though. We've now been together for 3 years.
I'll rate that.
And he still has no idea the extent that I went to on the day to get his attention, nor does he know that it was my sick.
Well, we want to come to the wedding.
Yeah, first of all, I was going to say, I bet they worked out. I bet it's the start of a love story. And also, what's his name? I'm going to message him on Instagram. I'm going to expose you. We might get another listener from that. So I just want to say,
we could have our first Pump Fiction wedding.
Oh my God, can we, Georgie, if you're listening, I think I know who it might be. Can we come to your wedding, please?
I'd love that.
You can't We'll do
a podcast like during the reception.
Do you know what I mean, like, you can't answer
on one of the tables
because you can't answer us on the podcast because we're here. We're going to assume the answer is yes, unless you say otherwise.
Can't wait.
So thank you for that. That was great.
That
was
really
my favourite.
If you do have any really interesting confessions, I should say, they obviously can be anonymous. If you tick the box, if you've got anything really juicy that you want to tell us about, we'll obviously be completely, we're not going to give out any names or anything. But because that one was so good, I'm also going to read out the question that Georgie also submitted, which you guys will provide an answer for quite quickly, I should think. It goes as follows.
No.
When, if ever, should you use a support belt? I'm trying to overload my squats but find my lower back begins to ache before I feel it in my legs. Will this be poor posture or is it time for a belt?
I think we might answer this in a similar manner, but I'm curious. I was going to say, learn how to squat without a belt before you add a belt.
Yeah. I would say there's probably other low-hanging fruit you could go to.
Testicles again?
Yeah, it's on the mind, hair dryers. Where I would, you've thrown me there, where I would probably look at things like the squat first. I would maybe look at the volume in your training. There's probably other things you need to address before we go for the belts.
Accessories as well, lower back fatigue coming from other things.
Where do you do your squat in your program? Do you do it at the end, at the beginning? Do you
RDLing as well on the same day? Things like that. Also,
that's a good shout.
The belt is obviously a fantastic piece of equipment, can really help with core bracing, but I do think you should probably learn to brace your core effectively without the belt. And again, also look at your technique. How does your squat actually look? A lot of things to consider. At the end of the day, you can add a belt whenever you want to. Just personally, I would tick a lot of other boxes first before then saying, is this the route I should go down?
Definitely going to say get someone who knows what they're looking at to address your technique.
Send it in.
Yeah,
film a set and send it in to us.
Also, can we ensure that you are filming it from multiple angles, especially the side on?
Side on,
the best angle.
And if you can, not from the floor.
Yeah, kind of like hip height.
Yeah,
kind of like a good
against
level.
a water bottle on a gym bench.
I'm all about the bar path from a side view.
Yeah, we do love a side view. So can you send it to the Pump Fiction Pod Instagram, and we could look at it.
Yeah. If anyone wants any form or anything or any physique or any outfit or anything critiquing,
go elsewhere.
Then
physique, go towards Chris, because I'm
outfit. Don't go towards me either.
Yeah,
go towards Chris.
Oh no, you're fashion. Well, actually, maybe Chris.
I'm not.
He's Mr. Fashion. Mr. Fashion.
Well, I like to make an effort.
He does well.
How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Don't want
to divulge that information.
It's about 80.
Yeah, so
but I've
79 more than I wear.
But they're valuable, I suppose. But yeah, I do like my fashion. Yeah, is that all right? Am I okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. Good. Okay. Another question. Quickly. What have we got? Why am I doing show tunes voice?
I like show tunes.
I wish I had multiple voices.
You've surely got some.
I've got multiple personalities, not multiple voices.
Who does anyone know a guy called, I don't know if this is even a real name, but he's messaged several times with just pointless stuff. Richard Buffington. Is that anyone? Or is that just a fake name?
that might be a fake name.
That sounds like Dick Buffington?
It simply says, Harry, in your last video, you mentioned your head is getting bigger. So my question is, what are you doing to make those forehead gains?
Progressively overloading and managing fatigue. That's what we're doing. I headbutt the wall.
He wears a belt.
So what I do is I actually do occlusion training with the hats I wear, and I basically headbutt the wall when I'm wearing a really constricting hat over and over again. And eventually, when the neighbour has asked if I'm okay, I cough, pass out, and wake up with a massive head.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's creatine.
Maybe it is.
Maybe. Anyway. Nothing.
Thanks for that.
Next question comes from T. Marie. And it's quite a good one, actually. Is it true that the body can only absorb or utilize 20/30/40 grams of protein at a time? Ooh. If so, then why even bother eating 80 grams in one sitting?
No.
Do you have a long answer for this? Because I have a very short answer for this.
I mean, I can make a short answer if you want.
Okay, no, I
don't want to waffle on for too long, because I do that quite a lot.
Well, so do I. So the 30 grams thing, conveniently, comes from the supplement industry.
Of course it does. It's a scoop.
How many grams are in a scoop of protein?
I think it's somewhere between 25 to 30 grams of protein. Weird that, isn't it? It's all, but if you have 41 grams of protein, the body doesn't absorb it.
Actually,
it knows.
It actually spits it all back out your bum hole, and the calories don't count.
And that's where the cheap protein comes from.
Someone made a good point saying, if you could only actually use that much, if you had one meal a day of like pure protein, let's say, and X amount of calories, in theory, you would die from essentially wasting all but 120 calories that you've just consumed from the 30 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Although it's probably preferred to spread out evenly throughout the day, so you obviously dose it at different times, your body can absorb a lot more than there is not really a limit as far as I'm aware on protein absorption.
It will sit and wait to be absorbed, maybe.
The body is very smart.
It's quite clever in that respect.
Definitely. We adapt to things like that, don't we? It's just one of those funny things, isn't it? Like an industry's created a myth that conveniently helps them do things. There's not really that much truth in it.
So no.
There was one study that said that in some cases, extreme amounts of protein in one sitting did actually generate a better protein synthesis within the muscle. Interestingly, and then I'm talking even 80 or 100 grams worth of protein. There has been some study, but there's not much about it. It's still pretty basic.
The thing is, if I were to limit it to, let's say, 30 grams of protein per meal, I'd have to eat 10 meals a day.
It's very small, isn't it? It's amazing. It's amazing, yeah. And also, it really depends on the size of the human ingesting it.
Half my chicken breast is in the bin now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or wasted because your body can't absorb it.
It's out my bottom.
Yeah, there you go. So don't worry too much about that.
Don't stress about that.
And also, I don't think you should worry too much about over-consuming it as well, because protein doesn't get much less protein gets converted to fat than a carbohydrate or a fat would.
So, and I think a lot of people tend to be under eating protein anyway. Yeah. So if I
would err on the side of overeating protein.
Yeah. Especially during like a mass gaining phase, like a bulking phase, protein's a lot more important than people think. The misconception back in the day was eat more when you're cutting, eat less when you're bulking. It's actually the other way around, to be honest, because it's much easier to maintain muscle than it is to gain muscle. But I think ultimately the other thing is kidneys. Everyone's like, oh, if I have high protein.
Dialysis.
Yeah, that's actually largely been because my kidney results were actually quite bad. My EGFR was like stage 3 chronic kidney disease levels, bad.
Because you're not having enough water.
It's literally, I think it was influenced by I wasn't hydrated at the time of the test because in the morning, things like that. Got it again recently. I'm fine. I'm in the green zone. But then I was a bit worried about protein intake in my kidneys because that was obviously a myth I'd heard. Did a load of reading on it, and there's actually not really any. There's no association there. The only time there ever was if the person being studied had family history of kidney problems anyway, so their kidneys were probably a bit dead.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It was almost like it was a self-selection bias on the people they did that. So it's if people with bad kidneys or history of kidney disease, then they test that. It's almost like, well, yeah, you're going to find something a little irregular there, aren't you?
If you've got an underlying problem, probably be a bit more cautious, just in general anyway. Yeah. But again, high protein intake is not going to ruin your kidneys. Just make sure you drink enough water because we swear in general, it's so good for you just in general life.
Honestly, it's so good, guys. Just drink water. Drink water.
I'm actually.
And I'd like to note that Mike has got himself a bottle of water, but hasn't got drinks for me and Harry today, which is pretty out of order.
I actually have quite an interesting question, which I think we may have different views on.
Ooh.
The difference in training while bulking and cutting. Let's just assume for hypertrophy benefits. I guess let's just assume.
Well, I guess that's why you would cut for performance sports, but you're more likely to cut, aren't you, for aesthetics.
My personal thought on that would be they're not dissimilar. However, if I'm in a calorie deficit, then my mentality is that I'm not really going to be making any muscular gains, and I'm really looking to overwork the muscle, burn a lot of calories, keep the muscle full as best you can in a deficit. So I'm probably going to focus more on a pump style of session, if that makes sense. I'm not doing as much crazy progressive overload. I'm just looking to get more volume into the muscle. Whereas if I'm bulking, then I'm probably really trying to focus on overloading, try and get bigger weights up for more reps, I suppose. So I am thinking about it differently, I would say, personally.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you, Chris. I think kind of thinking back to the overtraining under recovery thing, I think when you're in a deficit, you have a higher chance of kind of injuring yourself.
You're not as strong in a deficit, and I think that's just we all have those workouts where you probably haven't eaten very well. So some people might not have periods where they're really focusing on being in a deficit. It might just happen one day, and you'll find you had a shit workout because you just haven't fed and watered yourself very well.
And I think if you're in a deficit as well, obviously that's a planned, prolonged period of not having enough fuel. So I think your exercise performance will slowly diminish the longer you're going into your cut. So I think I would probably change the intensity slightly, but like I say, focus on trying to get the pump or keeping some kind of strength in there because you want to maintain muscle mass the best you can.
The exercises don't change so much. I probably don't put as much weight into your big compound lifts so much as when I'm in a deficit, simply because again, this is probably where machines play a good role because you can do more with a machine when you're fatigued, I would say, and in a deficit you're going to feel that fatigue sooner.
What do you think?
Personally, my approach to deficit training, cutting versus bulking, is the only thing that would ever change is probably volume. So ultimately, I would still try and progressively overload as best as possible.
Okay.
I still maintain strength because the best way of maintaining muscle mass is maintaining your strength. If you can progressively overload, obviously we know muscle gain is signal driven rather than calorie driven. Although it's much harder to gain muscle in a deficit, significantly harder because you don't have the additional energy to then promote signal driven progression. It's not impossible. So you can do it. It's just much harder.
Yeah.
But the way I'd approach things is, like I said, it's much harder to gain muscle than it is to maintain muscle. So to gain, you probably have to ramp up your volume a little more, all those bits and bobs. What I would personally do, if I was in just a general deficit for just lifestyle, then I probably wouldn't actually change my training.
No, I wouldn't change. Just for lifestyle, no.
If I just wanted to go on an 8-week cut for whatever reason, I wouldn't change my training whatsoever.
You might notice a kind of a difference in your ability.
I'd have to be a bit more wary on it with my fatigue management. Just make sure I feel okay. Might have to deload.
Otherwise,
things like that. But my training just wouldn't change. Yeah. I would still try and hit new numbers if I can. Worst case scenario, I'll maintain. Fantastic. If I were going for more a prep side of things, I would probably, as the weeks got on and shit got harder, I would reduce volume because we know obviously it's much easier to maintain muscle. Still try and at least maintain my numbers as best as possible, obviously maintain strength and maintain muscle, but I'd probably reduce compound volume to maybe even just 1 set to failure rather than 2 or 3, but then probably keep isolation volume the same, kind of what you said. So I guess short answer is my training wouldn't change. If it were in an aggressive deficit for a show, I might reduce compound volume slightly.
Do you think that's because of like just how taxing those compounds are?
Yeah, they're a lot more taxing regarding fatigue accumulation, and obviously I don't want to because I am not recovering as well. I don't want to build up too much fatigue, which I then can't recover from. Again, you don't have to. I'm just saying that if I were in the final 4 weeks of a prep or something,
you got to lower your expectations.
Or 6 weeks of prep, I would probably go in, do 1 set to failure on the compounds, and then just do my isolations as normal.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar answers, really. It'd be interesting to see when you do eventually come round to doing your first bodybuilding show, how your opinions change on some of these things.
Yes, next year.
I guess, would you argue that, being like 4 weeks out, for example, what progress could you make in terms of building in that time?
That's why it's just,
that's
why I maintain strength. I would try to progressively overload, so I would keep my intensity there.
The intention's there.
But
realistically, I'll be happy to maintain. And if I can just hit my numbers every week,
you're trying to get lean.
Even if I can know, if I'm like, okay, I got 9 last week, I only have to do 1 set of this exercise. All I have to do is 9 reps. Mentally, I feel like I'm just there.
Yeah.
One thing this might bring to the foreground for people is that age-old question of, can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? And that's something we could probably talk about in a show.
I think that's worthy of a topic because
that could almost be a whole show.
It's the holy grail of the PT question when a client comes to you and says, "I want to build muscle, but I also want to lose fat at the same time."
Yeah, I think a whole show.
We'll leave that for now.
That's because there are so many answers to that, depending on where you are in your training
age.
There are so many things. I think that's a whole topic that we can spend like 20 minutes on
easily.
Cool. So, anyone else got any other questions before we wrap this up and get out of Dodge? Because I'm getting conscripted tomorrow. That's a word that I only learnt recently.
What was that?
Conscripted.
I've got loads of
conscripted is what happens when you're conscripted into the army based on your age.
Sorry. Well, they do. So in Israel, they do that. I learned the other day. I think before you're like 21 or something, you serve 2 to 3 years, like compulsory, and then you kind of called back as and when.
Oh, that's quite cool.
So like everyone in Israel at some point, I think women as well,
prepared for it.
Yeah,
I tell you what, as a country, we are so like mollycoddled and underprepared for this. Like when you look at the Ukrainian people and how like their resolve and their strength and their unity, and I'm
wildly impressed.
I'm overwhelmed by it, and like I didn't want to talk about it too much, but we have to acknowledge the fact that what is going on,
it's shit, and it makes me feel sad.
It makes me feel sick. I've actually got family who have. So my relative of mine has family in Ukraine who've had to flee to the mountains and stuff, and it's scary. It's really scary. So yeah, more power to everyone out there who's doing what they can.
I think the way I kind of quickly note on that is, it's highlighted. I'm really impressed by the strength of the Ukrainian people. I'm also really impressed by the president. I think he's done something a lot of presidents wouldn't do, which is stand there and fight as a captain of a ship.
He's a boss.
I know he's done some things in the past from I've heard that. Honestly,
he was on
so great.
Strictly Come Dancing.
Fair play, and he did.
That in itself is
that's an achievement. But like just how they've all approached it is really impressive. But also, I feel for a lot of the Russian public who don't want any of this, and they're having to deal with the shit of what's happening to them. And I feel for everyone. It's a shit situation for everyone involved, and it makes me feel a bit sad, to be honest.
It's very sad. It's very hard to stay positive sometimes with all this stuff going on. But it just makes me realise that my first world problems are completely insignificant.
This is the thing. Like I have noticed. I think, especially like in some of my clients as well, just day to day, you can see like, even if it's just sitting in the back of your mind, it's just like this little hum. It's like, this is a bit rubbish, actually.
I just wish I could do more to help,
Well, let's make it our mission to find a way to help.
We can do that.
Voluntary conscription. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Hang on a minute.
Come on. Get the robots ready. We'll do it from home.
I do play.
Drop me in.
I do play on controller. I do play on controller. That's all I'm saying.
He's good with his thumbs.
Right. Anyway, that's enough of that. But yeah, our thoughts definitely with a lot of people right now. Any more Q&A before we wrap up this show?
I think I've got some for next week, but I
think we can save some juicy content for another time.
How long have we been going?
Let's get the numbers. But thank you, while I do that, for being here. And
You're welcome.
That's okay, Chris. Thank you for coming.
Not so much.
It's your pleasure.
Not so much those two, but it is genuinely warming to see the numbers of you that are already listening to this show.
Chris has literally just thanked 3,000 of my alternative accounts right now. You're welcome,
bots.
Chris.
You're
welcome.
The Russian bots.
It must be.
Yeah.
Must be.
So we're just over an hour and a half, which I think is a good amount. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
if you made it this far, send the Pump Fiction Pod Instagram a message saying
send an emoji.
Send an emoji of just a poo.
No,
Chris is old.
Send us a picture of you drinking your water because we want to know you're drinking water.
Yeah. Yes, water
selfies.
Put it on your story and tag us in it.
Yeah, and then measure how big your forehead is.
Yeah, send us
with the bottle.
Yeah, definitely send us a water selfie
forehead
and tag our show in it. Yeah, that's good.
We would love that.
And
so
as always, if you want to follow us individually, then it is now Radical Mike.
It is now, yeah.
Not Crayola Mike after your recent confession.
I actually got a bit of shit for that, but that's fine.
What, eating crayons? I'm not fucking surprised, Michael, eating crayon.
It did give me the shits as well. I remember, I just couldn't stop there.
We don't.
What is it with you two, and having loose assholes? For fuck's sake!
No one said anything about being loose. Thank you very much.
Although probably true. I'm just saying.
With the pegging and all that.
Boys' school was tough. I'll tell you that now.
You're tough.
No, you.
That would be at Harry_TFNL.
That one.
And I would be Chris D. Fellows. And you have been listening to episode 7.
Wow.
We made it this far.
We're nearly at double figures. I'm so excited.
Yeah, very good. We haven't got any milestones lined up for episode 10, have we?
I need a wee. But no. No, we don't. I'd want...
1.
How many downloads at episode 10?
I mean, what you want and what we get is irrelevant.
We're on 7 and we're on what? 3?
That's probably near. 5,000 downloads by episode 10 is a breeze, but that's what we're going to shoot for.
All right, 5,000 for 10.
Fine. Well, anyway, this has been a great episode. Lots of good, informative stuff.
This paper is very thick. I like it.
Does anyone else have anything else to add before I bid everyone adieu and we go on about our lives?
No.
Stay safe and stay hydrated.
Yeah, drink that water, folks. And until next time, this has been Pump Fiction. I can edit that. It's fine. Edit that.
Mind blank. I love it. No, keep it in. It's funny.
He was lagging, buffering. He got bad ping.